Hey guys, this is Andres from mastersoccermind.com. So today we're going to be talking about a very interesting video, which is, can short guys actually be good goalkeepers? So in today's video we're going to be talking a little bit about, for example, the average goalkeeper height and weight too. We're also going to be talking about a little investigation I made around the topic, and we're going to get into a conclusion if short guys can actually be as good goalkeepers as taller guys. So without further ado, I'm going to give you the answer right up front. So you have an idea, the average goalkeeper height is 1.89 meters tall, which is about 6 feet 2 inches. Whoa, that's a lot for a soccer player. Maybe not for an NBA player or for an American football player, but for soccer players, that's a lot. Because in comparison to other sports, soccer has considerably shorter guys. About 1.75 is the average field soccer player height. So considering that the average goalkeeper height of a goalkeeper is about 1.89 meters or 6.2 feet tall, is a lot. Just to give you an example, my height is about 1.85 meters tall, which is about 6 feet 1 inches, and I'm considered one of the tallest guys everywhere I go. In the university, at soccer practices, usually I'm one of the tallest guys around. And everywhere I go, that's something that's noticeable. And considering that the average, there are taller goalkeepers than that the average goalkeeper height is 1.89 meters, 6.2 feet, is very tall for soccer players. So this is definitely something that's not good for short goalkeepers, for people that want to be goalkeepers but are of short height. But does that mean that short people can't be good goalkeepers? Well, not at all. Actually, if you're a short guy, that means that you will have to train a little bit harder than other players to be good goalkeepers, but it doesn't mean that you can't be a good goalkeeper if you're a short guy. So yeah, when you're watching soccer games in the TV, it's really hard to appreciate how tall soccer players really are. Like, for example, Keylor Navas, Real Madrid goalkeeper, every time I watch him play, I thought that he was actually pretty small. But when I searched for his height in the internet, I found out that he's 1.85 meters tall, which is 6 feet 1 inch. So that's the same as how tall I am. And considering that I thought that in TV he looked small, but he actually is a very tall guy, that's very surprising to me. And in comparison to other goalkeepers, he's pretty small. But that doesn't mean that he's not a good goalkeeper. I mean, he's the starter goalkeeper for Real Madrid and has won 3 Champions League in a row. So just to give you an example about that, height is definitely a very important factor when we're going to talk about good goalkeepers, but that doesn't mean that it is something that has to stop you from being a great goalkeeper. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a little bit about what makes a good goalkeeper. I'm going to talk about what are the qualities of a great goalkeeper, and I want yourself to analyze how many of these qualities actually are determined by height. So, for example, one of the things that makes a good goalkeeper is how he makes the team feel confident and secure. I mean, the goalkeeper is the only player in the soccer field that has an 180-degree view of the soccer field. A goalkeeper is the player that can't shut up during the whole game. He has to constantly give instructions to all his teammates because he's the one that has the best view of the field. Okay? The goalkeeper is the commander of the defense. Does this have to do anything with height? No. I prefer a goalkeeper that gives me security in my team and that makes my other teammates feel confident and that is always encouraging them to be better at the soccer field than a tall goalkeeper that doesn't do this. And I'm not the only one that says this. Coaches watch it too. So if a short goalkeeper manages this a lot better than a tall goalkeeper, then height doesn't really matter. Okay. Another thing that is very important for determining if a goalkeeper is good or not is, for example, having great reflexes. This again doesn't have to do anything with height. I mean, I've played against goalkeepers that are shorter than me, and it has still been very hard for me to score a goal against them. And why? Because they actually have great reflexes every time I shot to the goal, and because they have quick footwork. So these are two factors, again, that are super important for goalkeepers and that they train every single day and that have nothing to do with height. Actually, I would consider that short goalkeepers can develop faster footwork and reflexes than tall goalkeepers can, because tall guys actually because they have a higher center of gravity, can actually be slower than short guys. So yeah, this is something that if you're a short goalkeeper, you have to make sure that you develop it better than taller goalkeepers if you want to have a chance in the soccer field. So another thing that is very important for goalkeepers, actually in my opinion, is the air game. And in here, height is something that actually comes into play a little bit more, but I wouldn't say that short goalkeepers can't have a good air game. Well, it depends. For example, it depends on how short you actually are. I would say that 1.85 meters tall, 6 feet 1 inches, is short for a goalkeeper, but a goalkeeper this tall can actually do a great job. And I mean, there are several goalkeepers playing at the World Cup that are this tall. But for example, if you're shorter than that, like 1.70 meters tall, or that is about 5 feet 6 inches, I would just say to stay away from this position. I mean, you can be short, but there's a limit to how short you can actually be to be a goalkeeper. I mean, I've recently played in a team where the goalkeeper was really short, and every time the other team had a free kick and kicked it to the area, it was a nightmare for the whole team because he was so short. I mean, there is a limit to how short you can be, and definitely height is something that shouldn't be a determining factor if you want to be a goalkeeper. But if you're just too short to be a goalkeeper, then just try any other position in the field. That's my recommendation. There's a limit to how short you can actually be to be a goalkeeper, but that doesn't mean that if you're short, you can't be a good goalkeeper. Again, as I said before, if you're short, that means that you have to train harder than taller goalkeepers, and not only harder, but smarter. Like, try to think, what can't a tall goalkeeper be good at that I can be better at? Like, you have to develop your strengths based on based on the weaknesses of tall goalkeepers. So yeah, that's my advice for short goalkeepers. I mean, let's a real example from players right now. Let's say Keylor Navas in Real Madrid, and now Real Madrid has bought Thibaut Courtois, which is a super tall goalkeeper. I mean, I think he's 2 meters tall. That's about 6 feet 4 inches. I mean, he's almost the same height of an NBA player. And he's competing against Keylor Navas, which is only 6 feet 2 inches tall, which is about 1.85 meters. I mean, there's a considerably high difference in height. I mean, does that mean that because of that difference in how tall they are, Keylor Navas has to be worse than Thibaut Courtois? Absolutely not. In fact, I prefer Keylor Navas to be the goalkeeper at Real Madrid than Thibaut Courtois. Why? Because I think that he just manages the team better. He talks better to his teammates. He makes the defense feel secure, and he has quick footwork, great reflexes. I mean, he's a totally complete goalkeeper, and he's considerably shorter than his competition. Does that mean that he is he's not as good as tall goalkeepers? Not at all. In fact, he can easily be the best goalkeeper in the world right now. Another factor that determines whether a goalkeeper is good or bad is positioning in the soccer goal. I mean, if no matter if you're tall or short, if you position yourself correctly to anticipate where the shot of a player might go, then you are more likely to be a good goalkeeper. I mean, if you're a short goalkeeper and you're competing against a tall goalkeeper, but that taller guy has awful positioning in the field, no matter how tall he is, he won't be as a good goalkeeper as the one that correctly positions himself in the goal. I mean, I've seen multiple times in soccer games that a player does a great shot, but coincidence, the goalkeeper is standing right where the shot is going. It's not a coincidence. It's the goalkeeper that knows how to position himself correctly in the goal. So I want to talk to you about an investigation I made related to this topic. So how I came up about writing about this topic was back when the World Cup, when I was doing the Panini sticker album, I realized that in every sticker of every player was their height and their weight. So that's where I realized that goalkeepers were actually like the tallest guy from every team in the World Cup. And I was actually very surprised every time I saw the height of specific goalkeepers that I watched played before in the TV. And when I saw how tall they actually were, I was very surprised. Like, man, I didn't even imagine that they were actually that tall. So I was very curious. So I did this Excel sheet. In this Excel sheet, you can see every height of every single goalkeeper playing in the last World Cup. And also in here, you can see their weight. Their height is in their height kilograms. Their height is in meters, and it's also in feet, as well as a weight that is in kilograms and pounds. So no matter where you're watching, you'll be able to understand the spreadsheet. Also in the Excel sheet, you can also find like who was the tallest goalkeeper of the World Cup and who was the smallest one. You can see the average of every goalkeeper. I mean, there's a lot of very, very good information in this. So if you're very curious about this topic, what's best is that you can download this Excel sheet at my website, going to mastersoccermind.com/gkheight. I repeat, mastersoccermind.com/gkheight. When you go to that link, it will take you to this article in which you can download the Excel sheet completely free. Okay, so go ahead. Go to the website and download the Excel sheet, and you'll find a lot of good information that I know that every soccer fan will be happy to know. So that's been everything for today's video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you later.